Happy Monday morning. Yes, I'm here. I'm in for my co-anchor who usually does the 9 to 11 shift. It's an unusual morning because none of the key players within this 9 to 11 shift are normally here. Usually it's Jane, but I'm here filling in for Jane. Usually it's Carlene where James is sitting, but James is here. Good morning, James. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Okay.
I don't have Stream Deck.
Don't have Stream Deck. Okay. All right. So should we take a quick break real quick?
No, I think I'll figure it out real fast.
Okay. So this is what
happens. Do it this way. Yeah.
This
We're
is
good. We're good.
This is what happens on live.
We're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, my friend.
Okay. All right. I think my Stream Deck went down as well. But this is what happens on Live Impact News. It's Monday morning. Thank you for joining us in. Sometimes we have some technical issues. We like to talk through those things with you guys. Take a peek behind the curtain. But let's get to it. I don't want to waste any time because today is day 34 of the government shutdown over the weekend. And here's a live look at our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., as lawmakers continue to go back and forth on the government being shut down. SNAP benefits ran out this weekend, November 1st. We saw folks line up at the farmers market here in the Charlotte area to get some sort of relief. And we're hearing from organizations, folks in our community that are helping to ease that burden. And one of those groups, Billy Graham Evangelistic Association and Samaritan's Purse, are doing just that, stepping up to help folks in need. And here on the program, we have Edward Graham, Chief Operating Officer with Samaritan's Purse, talking about those efforts. Edward, first, thank you for your time this morning.
No, thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Can you talk about what you guys are doing? You guys are really stepping in to help folks when it comes to feeding folks, making sure folks get those necessary meals.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing this up. You know, Samaritan's Purse responds all over the world, along with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, but often during crisis here, whether it be nature, but also man-made crisis. And so just last week, my father was having a conversation, my father being Franklin Graham, and just talking about the government shutdown and the burden it's put on some of these, what they would call non-essential government workers, not receiving their paychecks. And it's been a while now. And so my dad's said, well, hey, we have the ability to feed some people. We don't usually feed domestically. There's organizations and churches and nonprofits that help feed here in the U.S., but there's a lot of restrictions and challenges that come with that. But we do have some offices between the Billy Graham Association there in Charlotte with the library, whether it's our hangar where we keep our aircraft down in Greensboro, or large-scale cargo planes, the Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove in Asheville, and then Samaritan's Purse headquarters between here and Boone, North Carolina, and North Wilkesboro. Dad wanted to open up the kitchens for ID card holders, those government workers that haven't been fed. The dad said, we'll feed them. And we'll feed them where we normally feed our staff, or we take some of our cook trailers during a disaster and feed our volunteers. We're using that equipment to feed some of these government workers that haven't been paid in a while. And there's just something my dad came up with last Friday morning and put the team to it.
What are some of the personal stories you've heard from folks who either are federal workers or folks, maybe their SNAP benefits have run out? What are some of those personal stories, or have you heard those personal stories from folks in the community?
Yeah. Now, as far as us feeding, this will be the first day that we've opened up, so I'm sure we'll get a lot more testimonies. Now, as I was in the military for years, and I've been through other government shutdowns, and of course the military would be paid always, but we always had team members and workers that worked with us, civilian government employees that often would have to be furloughed or told to go home, and those were always a huge burden. And so now as we see it, I've talked to one couple, because we're doing disaster relief in Western North Carolina still from Hurricane Helene, where we're building homes for the uninsured and non-insured. And I have met some people, and they're worried. They're concerned on how much longer you can keep going. When you're on a fixed income and every dollar counts, and you're feeding for a family, this is something that is very concerning. It's very real. It's my hope and prayer that Congress does their job. The Congress, I know if I didn't do my job, I wouldn't get paid. And I know there's this argument maybe Congress shouldn't get paid. They're considered essential. That may motivate them to go do their job. But it's my prayer that Congress this week will quickly come to an agreement and get this passed. So people, especially for the SNAP benefits, you think for the community, my heart grieves for them. I know they're hurting and they're scared.
And this is every day until the duration of the shutdown. Obviously, right now we don't know when the shutdown will end. Is there any concern regarding the organization to be able to do this if this shutdown goes much longer?
Yeah. Now again, we're just doing the government workers. I have no idea. That's for my dad. I do what he tells me to do. My dad's always pointed at me as, growing up, hey, you go do this. And so he told us to get this going. We know it could keep going on for a while, but Dad is committed to this and to let this community know they're loved, they're not forgotten, and that if you want a meal, come to one of our locations. Right now we're open between 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. is when we'll be serving meals at the various ministry locations. You can go to our websites and find information. Dad has posted stuff on his own social media about it, but I appreciate you highlighting and bringing it up. We'll stay committed just like we do in a storm. I haven't left Western North Carolina. This is home. We're still serving here after Helene. We don't leave after disasters, and right now we're in a man-made one.
Edward Graham, Chief Operating Officer with Samaritan's Purse. Thank you for your time. And I do want to pull up, James, you had it up earlier, the list of locations, lunch locations is very important. Again, as Edward just mentioned, 11:30 to 2:30, the Billy Graham Library, the Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove, that's in Asheville, Samaritan's Purse in Boone, Samaritan's Purse North Wilkesboro, Samaritan's Purse Greensboro. These are the list of locations right now on our website. Again, Edward, thank you for your time.
No, thanks for highlighting. We appreciate it.
And again, today is day one of serving those lunches. A lot of folks impacted, obviously, by this shutdown. All right, we want to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. James is here. We figured it out technically. That's what happens here on Live Impact News.
The newsroom tells me I sound only slightly concerned.
You did. I looked at you and I was like, wow, I've never seen James look this nervous.
Well, when you drive a car and it has like all sorts of automation involved,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, all right, I got to remember how to do this manually now. Where are all the buttons? So we're good.
We figured it out. Very important interview there for federal workers and what Samaritan Spurs is doing to help folks in the community, especially federal workers, as the shutdown continues. We have more information on that on our website. Also, you can catch that full interview on our digital platform shortly. Let's bring in the best meteorologist in the Live Impact studio right now.
I thought I could
Chris
spit easier.
Mulcahy. Chris Mulcahy, voted on by me. I am the voting committee. James and I voted on that.
Yeah, there were a lot of tough candidates for this, but I'm quite honored to be here.
Chris, before we get to the forecast, I know we talked a little sports.
We do.
It's Victory Monday.
Man.
Dude, do you see what I brought to work?
Now let me see. Oh, that's nice.
Victory Monday, man.
Oh, man, I need to get one of those.
Victory Monday.
Oh, and it has like what's the inside look like? You got like a little, oh, that's nice.
Oh, man, it's Victory Monday.
Ooh.
Monday, man.
See, and you're looking pretty good right now, 5-4.
4, man.
Do you know who do they play this weekend at
We
home?
play the Saints. The
Okay.
Aints. We play the Aints.
That's winnable.
It's a winnable game. Every game is winnable, Chris.
Going
Every
6-4.
game is winnable.
Ooh.
Every game is winnable.
Well, actually, this past weekend was upset Sunday. The amount of teams that got upset. The Colts lost.
The Packers got upset. We were
No, that was the number one upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, because looking at the sports betting lines, I think it was plus 12.5, and that's insulting.
Yeah,
so
it's very
most
insulting.
most of the times it was like, yeah, Panthers going to
Had
get
to
crushed.
brag a
No.
little bit, you know. That's where's the logo.
Yeah, and that defense is something to reckon with.
Oh man,
I'm saying.
Shout out to the defense. It was chilly. It was windy in Wisconsin, but we pulled it out. Ryan Fitzgerald,
Man.
Florida State alum. You went to Florida State.
I did. Yeah.
Your Florida State brethren came through.
Yeah, that's like one of the few that actually came out of last year because our team was the trashiest of the trash. I think it was the worst record we've had since the 70s.
Oh,
so, yeah.
man.
But he was the one bright spot. And we needed a lot of field goals from him. So, no, it's great to see his success, but you also have to realize, I think being the kicker is one of the hardest positions
It is.
in the NFL because the pressure that's on you if you miss it or make it, like it's really either zero or hero.
And
It's
he
crazy.
missed the extra point during the game.
I
Granted,
know.
it really wasn't his fault that he missed it. It was kind of a celebration penalty. Yeah, we won. That's all.
You
we
won,
survived.
that's all that matters.
You know what? And we're winning the forecast too.
Yes, we are, because we're looking at scenes like this. Look at this. We have those Carolina Blues, almost Panther blue. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's a beautiful shot right there. Panthers win again. And we have done much better at home, exception of the Bills. But the Bills came off from a bye,
doesn't
and
count.
they were fine. Yeah, that doesn't count. Yeah, no, we're not going to count that one. But no, here's what it looks like now through our Dallas camera over on Weather 2. It's absolutely gorgeous right now. Wall-to-wall sunshine, for the most part, is what we're going to be dealing with. And that's pretty much our forecast for the next couple of days. I'm so sorry I just smacked the microphone if it just made a weird noise.
You have been very close to the microphone.
Whopper, please. Okay. 6:47 was our sunrise time, but what I want to really focus in on is this number. This is the one that's most jarring. Yesterday was cloudy to conclude the day, so it wasn't as harsh of a, hey, we go from blue sky to black. Well, this time you are going to notice that 5:27, same sunset time. All of a sudden yesterday I was like, man, it just got dark all of a sudden. Now, it's something that happens each and every year, but sometimes just seeing the number will help you prepare for it. Once you get 5 o'clock, if you get out of work at, say, 5, it's going to get dark pretty quickly once you're heading home. Today is also a very special day, in my heart at least, and stomach. It's National Sandwich Day. Do we have any sandwich fans here?
I'm a sandwich guy. You know what? I'm a pretty basic sandwich guy.
Man.
I'm a grilled cheese guy.
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, that's
Yeah.
not basic. Okay.
No,
okay.
at least you're grilling it.
Okay. Yeah. Of course,
if you're just like ham and cheese, no mayo, then I was like, Nick.
yeah, nah, that's nah.
Yeah, okay.
Does a chicken parm hero count as a sandwich?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I think any subs, there's controversy about them saying that hamburgers and hot dogs, are they part of the sandwich club? By technicality, they are.
We don't got time for that.
Yeah, no, that's too much time here. But National Sandwich Day, I don't know if anything special is going on, but eat a sandwich. Enjoy yourself. Lunchtime's coming up. I'm going to do it. So we'll be doing it together. We're looking at temperatures that are going to be in the lower to the mid 60s heading into lunchtime. Not a cloud in the sky. So sunshine sandwich is what we're serving up today from Mother N. And our high temperatures today around 67 degrees, or as the kids say, 6-7. I don't understand what it means.
I don't mean it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I was at the Dia de los Muertos festival at Camp North End, and I heard several kids just doing it. And each context was different. I just want to know.
Just doing that too.
Yeah, 6-7. That's what they do.
I don't know. I feel like James
My
should know.
elementary school kid just started doing it.
Your
I don't-
elementary school kid did
Yeah,
it?
and
That's
I
what
don't
I say.
think he knows either, so I don't know.
Okay, so it's after a Skrilla song. Skrilla is an artist.
I love Skrilla. Yeah.
Skrilla is an artist, 6'7", and LaMelo Ball has picked it up because he's 6'7".
Like his height is.
Yeah,
6'7".
and I think he started doing the 6'7" thing, like the hand. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you know, like, I can get tangential all the time, but I wanted to do it and it felt uncomfortable, but I just was trying to be hip.
I can't say anything.
We're not being tangential at all right now.
No.
I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
mean, I come from the Soldier Boy Stop and Snap. I had a long white tee, 3XL, so I can't really say
Nice.
much to the kids. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know. We can't repeat a lot of those words.
No, we can't.
Especially here. All right, moving on. But this is what we do, especially if you get Nick, James, and I together. We're going to visit all the avenues. All right, well, heading out for this evening, whatever you want to do, maybe have a sandwich again, double it up. Temperatures dropping down through the 50s to around the upper 40s. 41 is our low by tomorrow. Now, it says lows over the next 4 mornings. So I think one of the biggest confusing things that we do as meteorologists on TV is saying overnight lows. Technically, that's not inaccurate, but usually it's within an hour to 30 minutes of sunrise is where we have our low temperature. That so many oftentimes when I come to work at 2:30, it is substantially warmer than when you two are getting to work. So it just really just depends. But notice where our lows are going to be 43, 48, 44. Our average for this day in climatology is 43, so not really too far off brand. But it's also time to get super. This is tangential, but it's on purpose. November 5th officially is our supermoon. It's the full beaver supermoon. 8:19 a.m. is the time, but you're not going to see it at that point. But it's going to rise up on Wednesday, 5:18. It sets at 8:14. All you need to know, this means is that when the sun is setting and when the sun rises up, most of the night, pretty much all the night, you're going to have the supermoon. And this is the biggest and the brightest because it's the closest to Earth. And I guarantee you this is going to be the one that a lot of you are going to comment, wow, that's a really bright moon. That's gorgeous. It's going to be bright tonight, but it's most bright because it's at the full point on Wednesday. Our lows going forward, dropping down to a level we have not been so far this season. 33 degrees on Veterans Day morning. So what we're looking at is a effect of a front that's going to push through that's going to chill us down big time. I think we first see rain on Friday night heading into Saturday. That front takes its time but gets some extra moisture and oomph Saturday night heading into Sunday. Here's the big question. If you go into that Panthers game, we could have rain for it. It should be a warmer rain until that front eventually passes, and that secondary front that you're seeing there could even provide a little bit of snow up in the mountains. I'm not talking about a big-time snow, but actually seeing snowflakes again, maybe a dusting on top of Mount Mitchell. But that is definitely going to cool us down substantially. So as of right now, we are rain-free through this work week, and then we're going to see some of those spikes during the nights heading into the weekend, and then we should dry out after that. But boy, are we seeing a big cool down. So our 7-day forecast, this is the best part of it. We have temperatures that are mainly in the upper 60s to the lower 70s. The only day that stands out from all the rest, this is my pick of the week, Wednesday at 74. But this graphic is also a 10-day forecast, and this is where it really tells the tale of that cold front. Enjoy the temperatures that we have right now. I am the annoying hype weatherman when I get a forecast like this saying, take advantage of these days, don't let them pass, because literally we're going to see a big drop off to the 50s and the 60s, and you're not going to have a run of 70s like this, most likely, again, it could happen, most likely, again, until next year. So this is a really good looking first week of November forecast. So I just want everyone to take advantage of it, because even though we'll have sunshine, highs in the 50s, that high of 54, 55, that's actually more indicative of Christmas and New Year's Day compared to what we have for typically the first days of November.
Night and day compared to this time last week. This time last week, it was just like miserable outside.
Oh, I know. Rain for 3 days.
But we needed the rain.
We did. It helped.
We need the rain.
For sure. All right. So now I'm going to talk about Badgers, because
Okay, all right,
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No more tangents, I promise.
Chris Mulcahy. I need some good juju for the Charlotte Marathon forecast. The weather guy. Like, I just need some good juju for that.
Okay.
Weather-wise.
Are you running it?
I'm running the half marathon.
Have you done that before?
This is my first time.
First time. Okay. Like, have you at least been doing 5Ks leading up to this, or are you just going straight half?
Oh no, I've been training.
Okay, you have been training.
This is not.
All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, no, I'm doing it.
No, this is not a just leap in type of thing. No, I've been training for a while.
Oh, good for you.
But no, I don't want it to be too cold.
No,
because when it gets too cold, I layer up, and then as you're running, you have to pull off layers.
This is not this Saturday, but it's next Saturday?
Yeah, 15th.
Okay. All right.
So I just need, it wasn't on the board. It wasn't on the obviously the 10-day, but I just need thoughts and prayers that it's a little warmer.
Well, when I did a weather IQ on ideal running conditions, or as if it's too cold to run, marathon runners say that actually the ideal temperatures are in the mid to the upper 40s. You're a different beast. I'm just saying, I read this from a few papers by runners.
In the morning when I run, I have some sort of layers on, but I see some guys out there, some people out there, women, men, with no layers at all. They have tank top shorts, and it's 40-something degrees outside.
Yeah, I think the idea is just because your body warms up so much that's the. I think maybe not ideal depending on your person, but I think the better way to put it is the body likes that the best because it doesn't overexert energy. Because when it's cold, it's trying to protect itself. When it's hot, it's trying to cool itself down.
Yeah.
At that point, it has that free range that even when your body warms up, it's still cold enough that it doesn't have to. So that's your kind of ideal.
I don't want to get sick. I feel like just sweating and it's
the 30s and the 20s will start to do that for you more. But other than that, we want the 40s. I'm going to try to chill it down for you. Trust me, you're going to be happy about it.
50 is great. That would be great.
See, but I said mid to the upper 40s. That's like the same thing.
No, it's fine. No,
okay, all of a sudden, like 1 degree down, I was like, nah. I don't
5
want
degrees is a difference. It's a difference.
It is a difference.
It's a difference.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll see what I can do. I have big pull.
I found your running IQ package.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Should I roll it?
Go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it. All right, this is Weather IQ running Charlotte Marathon edition. Let's take a listen to that.
During the new year, you may be inspired to put down the remote, get off the couch, and get moving more. How am I already out of breath? Am I out of shape, or is it the cold? Well, let's find out and raise that weather IQ. Cold. Being cold is subjective, where people tolerate the cold differently. When you're running, you generate your own heat, which makes the cold more tolerable compared to standing still. 45 degrees, for example, is a cold day for most of us here in the Carolinas. But some studies have stated that 45 degrees is actually an ideal marathon temperature. Temperatures in the 40s minimize our body's efforts to maintain its core temperature. This leaves us more energy to maintain faster paces. But there are some disadvantages. Running in the cold can also trigger what's called bronchospasms, which are asthma-like coughing and wheezing that makes breathing more difficult. When running in the cold, you create your own wind chill, which makes your extremities feel colder. But there are some great advantages. When we have our first real frigid day of the season, our bodies spark its fight or flight reflex. Blood moves inward from your skin to preserve its core. Running and exercises also causes levels of a chemical that increases brain cell growth. That releases the feel-good hormone dopamine. This is helpful for those suffering from seasonal affective disorder during the colder months. Also, by running in the sunshine, it increases our production of vitamin D, which regulates serotonin. This makes us happy if it's normal. When it's low, can lead to depression. When running in the cold, dress in layers. Cover up your extremities. Make sure to limber up because your muscles can really tighten up at those colder temperatures. And of course, stay hydrated no matter the temperature. Stay warm and enjoy the run. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with WCNC Charlotte.
I told Chris, I said, great form, excellent form.
Thank you.
And he informed me that he was a runner. He was a cross-country runner.
Yeah,
some time.
I was decent, and now I have a bad knee, and I try to run again, and I get to the end of my driveway, and I was like, nah. Do you know what? No. I have a big driveway, though, so.
Look, you put the mileage in, you're retired. It's okay, man.
Yeah, dude, if like spur of the moment, like I think it was like 10 years ago was the last 10K, or not 10K, 5K that I ran.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed a trash can afterwards. So like that's what happens when you're not training like you are. So yeah, by the way, that weather IQ was, I don't even think, I think the January before this past one, but we brought that up just because we had mentioned about the ideal running temperatures.
Yeah.
And I was actually really nervous. I said 45, like let's hope that's right, but luckily it is. But luckily I don't think you might have to deal with that in the morning, Nick. Like what time is the marathon?
7:20 start time.
7:20. Okay, yeah. You at that point you're likely going to be in the 40s. Hopefully you don't have the 30s.
Okay, all right. I can deal with the 40s.
Okay.
I don't have to, I can deal with that.
Good for you, man. You get to put one of those 13.1 stickers on your car afterwards.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Mhm.
All
There
right.
it is. I'll go get you one.
For real?
Yeah, if I see it. I'm not going to go seek it out.
Okay, all right.
But a lot of my local gas station has a lot of running stickers, so yeah, I'll see what I got.
Chris Mulcahy, I will be back next Monday morning, so we will do this again next Monday morning. Chris Mulcahy.
Well, I'll actually see that on the 10-day. So yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We'll revisit this.
All right, let's do it.
Chris Mulcahy, thank you for your time. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sutterman. James is here also in studio. So let's get to it. We talked about it earlier. We are still in the shutdown. We are expected to hear in about 30 minutes from the GOP leadership regarding the government shutdown. We've been getting these daily press conferences from both GOP leaders, also those Dem leaders in both the Senate and the House. But again, Day 34 of the government shutdown. We heard from President Trump over the weekend. So let's check in with NBC's Alice Barr with more on this shutdown. Let's take a listen in.
A critical deadline today with more than 40 million Americans waiting for low-income SNAP food benefits to kick in after funding ran out in the government shutdown.
It's really disturbing to see that some of our most vulnerable people are at risk.
Food drives across the country as long lines from Houston to LA demonstrate the urgent need.
I'm seeing a lot of people that I can see in their eyes they never thought they'd ever be in a food pantry line.
The Trump administration has until noon to respond respond to a federal judge's order to use contingency funds to restart the benefits. President Trump deflecting blame to Democrats.
If they vote to open the country, it's open up immediately. We don't even have to think about that.
While on CBS's 60 Minutes, he again called for the nuclear option, getting rid of the filibuster to reopen the government without needing votes from Democrats, who are holding firm on health care provisions as part of any funding deal.
The Republicans have to get tougher. If we end the filibuster, we can do exactly what we want.
A new NBC News poll finds 52% of Americans surveyed blame President Trump and Republican lawmakers for the shutdown. 42% blame Democrats, with both President Trump and Democrats earning low approval ratings.
I think that Democrats are passive, and I think that Republicans are predatory. I think the whole system is a mess.
Elections tomorrow offering another snapshot of how Americans are feeling as both parties look ahead to next year's critical midterms. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are expected to hear from GOP leadership at 10 o'clock. So in just about 30 minutes, that's a live look from our nation's capital there. Again, day 34 of the government shutdown. All right, so let's switch gears for a second. So as Veterans Day and Military Family Month approach, new programs are helping veterans access support. I mean, we're talking about from legal aid and mental health services to housing and resources for military spouses and caregivers. And now on the program, we have former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne S. Bass, the first woman to become the highest senior enlisted leader in any military service. She is calling on all of us to recognize those strengths and to help every service member, veteran, and military family thrive. Chief Bass, thank you for your time this morning.
Nick, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for honoring our veterans and their families on this very special month.
Yeah, no problem. Chief Bass, can you talk about some of those key strengths and talents that those serving in the military have?
Absolutely. So one, there's too many to go around, but if I can offer just a few, I would share strong work ethic, adaptability, problem solving, and our veterans are some of the most resourceful and resilient people you'll ever meet, but not just our veterans, their families as well.
What inspired you to become an advocate for veterans? Because that is speaking with veterans over the years, that's a tough transition back to civilian life. What inspired you to be an advocate?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I had the honor and privilege to serve in the United States Air Force for over 30 years. And so in that time, I was able to spend time with our service members and really get to understand, the challenges that we have. And when you take off the uniform, you don't ever quit serving, right? You just figure out different ways to serve. And so while in the military as a Chief Master in the Air Force, I was primarily focused on our military mission of protecting our nation. I was primarily focused also on the people behind the mission and their families and making sure that the conditions were set, that they can do anything asked that our nation might need them to do. And so to that end, now I'm focused on things such as connecting with our veterans, making sure that we are providing the opportunities that we can and that we are caring for our veterans. So many organizations are very much focused on this. In fact, I'm here with PMI US, who's one of those organizations. They created a really thoughtful white paper called Serving Those Who Serve, and it's in that capacity of connection and opportunities and care that we're very focused on doing what we can to ensure that our military community stays strong.
Can you talk about some of your top priorities with this mission?
Absolutely. Some of those priorities are, as I mentioned, connecting and providing opportunities and caring. And some of that is with respect to employment opportunities, the care that we can provide them for health care as well as mental health care, and also encouraging our encouraging our communities to really connect with a veteran or a family member and understand their unique journey and how can they be part of bringing them into their communities.
You've been so generous with your time. Before I let you go, I do want to highlight again, you are the first woman, as you know, the first woman to become the highest senior enlisted leader in any military service. Can you just talk about your background? Because I'm looking at your resume right now, and it is a lot in a great way. Can you talk about your background?
Nick, it all started off because my dad always said 4 years in the military never hurt anybody, and he was right. And every year that I served in the military, you know, it gave me so very much, and it shaped the person that I am. But if I can leave your audience with just a couple things, you know, one of the things that I would say is that when we include our veterans and their families into our workforces and into our communities, it is a win for all. They are going to bring talents and strengths and leadership to bear. And when you have a strong veteran community, you absolutely have a stronger and better America. If folks want to know more about this, I would encourage them to check out that white paper that I talked about. Again, Serving Those Who Serve. They can catch it at uspmi.com. And that's just one of the very many resources that are out there to connect and to provide opportunities and to care for our strong veteran community.
One final question. I promise this is my final question. What can we do as a community? Because it's not just one organization that can do it, one person that can do it, but it's a community effort. How can us as a community support?
Nick, thanks for asking that. I talk about it all the time, right? It's going to take a whole of nation, whole of society approach. Not one organization can do it. In fact, we have thousands of veteran support organizations out there. I would say that when you combine government, businesses, nonprofits, you know, corporate America, our communities, and we all realize that we all have a role to play in helping to ensure that we have a strong veteran community, active duty guard, reserve, spouse, children, community, the better off we'll be. So check, you know, connect and talk to your veterans and find out what are the needs, but more importantly, realize the talents and the strengths that they're going to bring to every single organization and community.
Chief Joanne Bass, thank you so much for your time, and don't be a stranger. You're welcome back here on Live Impact News.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for your support to our veterans.
All right, thank you. All right, let's come back here at home. Let's shift gears for just a moment. We want to talk about something that was announced on Friday, some big news, but also something that's happening a little later this morning that we already have essentially crews set in place. Charlotte CMPD, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, I was about to say, but CMPD announcing its new police chief. Estella Patterson. Estella Patterson is no stranger to CMPD. She worked with CMPD from 1996 to 2021, and she left CMPD to become the chief at Raleigh, the Raleigh Police Department. I was actually working in Raleigh when she became police chief there. Interviewed her a couple of times, and so she was there up until recently, but now she's coming back to CMPD to be the chief of police here at CMPD. And that news coming out Friday was it Friday afternoon or Friday morning? It was
Friday for sure.
Friday midday when that news came out. So we are expected to hear from Chief Patterson later today. She is stepping in after Chief Johnny Jennings decided to step down. He's stepping down at the end of the year. And with that, Chief Patterson will step in his place. So we talked to current CMPD Sergeant Ricky Robbins on Friday, shortly after that news came out, that Chief Patterson will become the next chief at CMPD. He talked about that working relationship. He talked about what she brings to the department and much more. He spoke with our Julie Kay. Let's take a listen in.
get to the biggest breaking news of the day, though, of course, CMPD has announced we have a new chief who'll be starting December 1st. This is Estella Patterson, currently, or most recently, in Raleigh, the police chief there, but she is no stranger to Charlotte, working here for decades as a deputy. So definitely really good news for Charlotte to both have that announcement and have someone with experience here. Luckily, in studio today, we have someone who knows her personally. This is Sheriff Ricky Robbins. Sheriff, thank you so much for, or excuse me, Sergeant, I'm reading off of your, he's running for sheriff. Sorry, I just prophesized.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess. Didn't mean to accidentally endorse
No
you
problem.
right now. I'm reading off of your page because I wanted to pull up some of the stuff that you had discussed. But Sergeant Ricky Robbins, you have worked with her. Tell me about this decision, this announcement today, and your experience working with her.
Stella's a person that is going to be good to work with. She's very good in the community. She's engaging. She's engaging with the employees, so I think it's going to be good for the community and the department. She has an outgoing atmosphere about her. I mean, she lights up the room when she comes in, and she's definitely 100% in the law enforcement and making sure that the right things are done.
Yeah. What has your experience been like? I mean, you said you've been there her whole career. She was in CMPD from, I think, 1996 to 2021. So to have someone with that much experience in this department, what do you think that means for the department?
I think it's very good for the department, because anytime you have someone that's at that level that knows the lay of the land, knows the community, knows the officers, that she's going to be somebody that's easily to adapt. She won't have a lot of changes out front because she knows what's already been done. She'll make sure that she's improving and going forward in everything she does. But Stella has a way about her. She's got a good thought process, and she's just not going to have a knee-jerk reaction. So I think that the community is going to love her because she is very, like I said, outgoing with the community. The department, they're going to grasp to her because they've been used to working with her and know that she's somebody that you can talk to, and that she's going to try to do what's best for everyone.
I think accessibility is such thing to balance in this role, because you're trying to do so many things in a big city like this and then also be accessible to the people of the community. I spoke with Nate Morbido earlier. He's our investigative reporter who actually interviewed her when she was here back in 2021. How do you think that will look like for her? Because transparency, I know that's part of your platform and your campaign, and it's something that people have been asking for from CMPD and the city. What do you think that will look like for her, and what do you think needs to happen for the department for that to be more accessible?
I think that, number one, I know that Stella will be transparent. I know that she knows and has shown that any situation that comes up, it needs to be addressed immediately. So I don't think there'll be a thing of dancing around it, trying to avoid the situation. I think that when anyone needs to get a hold of Stella, regardless of the situation, community or internally, that she's going to make sure that every avenue is open and that she's willing to listen. And like I said before, you know, she has a good thought process, but the biggest thing she has is Stella's ability. You can tell when you're having a conversation with her that she's engaging, she's listening, and that the next day you can see that she listened and went through that thought process, and probably some of the things that you told her that you were interested in, that you see those things come to fruition.
Now, she's been in Raleigh for a couple years as the chief there. What do you think that experience will do to be able to kind of have an external point of view to come back to Charlotte now?
I think she's going to have a better advantage than a lot of people that were promoted with inside, being that when we're all in one department and you see it from one angle, that's the way you view things. When you had an ability to leave Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police, go to Raleigh, lead those officers, the good and the bad, she can put in a basket, and now she can say, okay, listen, this is what worked in Raleigh, this is not what's going to work, this will work, and she can come back with new ideas, things that she didn't have before, and some of the ideas that she had before, and she may say that, hey, maybe I should have used this in Raleigh because it worked in Charlotte. So like I said, I don't think she's just coming in to just change everything, but she should have a good foundation now after leading in Raleigh and doing such a good job in Raleigh.
And I know she's got that, we keep coming back to that foundation, that basis of many years in service here that she can fall back on and think about. Of course, though, the department has changed over the last couple of years. We've had some big stories. We talked about, you know, trying to fix low morale and trust in leadership. What do you think has changed in the department since she left in 2021 that maybe will be different now that she's coming back 4 years later?
I think it's going to be a learning curve as far as a couple of years is a long time in law enforcement when you're out. And so I think it's a learning curve of some of the changes that have been made, some of the things and challenges that we've had. She's going to have to overcome those. But I think because of her ability to engage and work with the officers and the community, I think it's going to be a common ground thing, and I think she's going to come in and she's going to correct anything that she thinks needs to be corrected very quickly, and I think it's going to be a smooth transition for her because she's already willing to come in here with her ideas that will go forward, not backwards, and not stay neutral. So I think for the department, the officers, I think they're going to be behind her, and they're going to give her a fair chance, and I think she's going to appreciate that, and I think it's going to help her.
Yeah, you mentioned the transition, of course, with a big position like this. That's always kind of a daunting task to pass the torch, but I'm sure it's helpful that Chief Johnny Jennings has already come out and said he's excited to see what she does here.
Oh yeah, Chief Jennings is going to be very supportive. Anything he can do going out. I mean, and the blessing is that they've worked together over the years, so neither is a stranger, and so they can sit down at the table and he can say, you know, Stella, these are some things that I've been working on. These are some things you may need to work on. I know you have your ideas, you know, and common things that we can do. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to make sure that the officers are taken care of, and the community wants to make sure that they're taken care of, and they both want to make sure that they have a voice at the table and people are listening.
I know the Fraternal Order of Police said this was not necessarily a surprise. This was a name that had been brought up a few times in the process. Did you have any inkling that this might be the decision that was made?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Stella's name's been out there, and I think because of her going to Raleigh and getting that experience and exposure, I think that helped her greatly. I think she had an upper hand because she was able to go out and show that, hey, I can leave Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, go to another department, do well, and then come back and finish out where I started. I think she's just blessing her to finish something that she started.
Yeah, and I know we're excited to hopefully get a chance to talk to her soon. I think Monday we're expecting to hear more. Anything else you think people need to know or that are missing in this conversation?
No, just need to know that Stella's here. I think Stella's here to stay. Stella loves Charlotte and the community such as I do. I mean, and she thinks of this as her home. So I think that she knows that she's going to be here for us, and the community loves her already. And I think once she gets out and start engaging more, that they're going to find out that we have a good police chief and somebody that's going to be here for a while, hopefully.
Yeah. I know, of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, spoiler alert, you're running for sheriff of the county.
Correct.
Anything that while you're here, I know this is kind of separate, that you wanted to say about how your campaign has been? I know we're a year or so out, but how's that been going?
I think it's going well. I think the people are receiving me very well. I think I have a lot of good support, and the blessing for me is being born here in Charlotte and raised in Charlotte, the community. I mean, my roots to Myers Park High School, roots to the community and law enforcement, and the other good thing now is Stella's somebody that I know I can work with. So I was always waiting to hear who the new chief of police was going to be, because running for sheriff, and once I get in the office, I wanted to make sure it was somebody that I knew I had a good solid base with, and I know that me and Stella can make good things happen for Charlotte and Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, that collaboration between those two departments is really important.
Correct. I mean, and the two people at the top have to be people that can communicate, and the public has to also see that. They have to see it and they have to believe it, and I know that we're two of the same that want the best for the department and the community.
All right. Well, Sergeant Robbins, thank you so much for coming in. Of course, this is the big story of the day, so we appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, and glad to have Stella here.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
All right, so we will hear from new police chief, Stella Patterson, at 11:30. That press conference is set to start then. Jesse Pierre is covering that story, so we'll have more from her a little bit later, and we'll also have that press conference on WCNC Plus. And we'll be watching the developments and what comes from this press conference throughout the afternoon. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. This is a live look, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and as James just mentioned to me, I'm not going to take credit for this one. James mentioned this.
I was trying to give you credit.
No, I'm going to give you credit. The stand-up to cancer plane, American Airlines plane there. James saw it, and he gave me the info on it, and so I'm going to give James the credit.
That. Yeah, right in the center screen, right beyond that smaller plane that's moving, is the black arrow and the orange arrow, part of the Stand Up to Cancer logo, and it's the livery there from American Airlines. So. Oh, and there goes a departure.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. A beautiful day, as you can see there from Charlotte Douglas. All right, we talked about it earlier. We briefly mentioned it, but we will definitely lean in more on to this coverage throughout the day, and obviously tomorrow, because tomorrow is the big day. It's election day. Some big races across the country. Here we have a mayoral race, city council race. The transit referendum is also on the ballot here in Mecklenburg County. Other races within our viewing area, you go up to New York City, where you have the mayoral race, New Jersey governor's race, Virginia, there's a big race, California, Prop 50, which has to do with congressional maps and redrawing districts. That's on the ballot there. So a lot to sort out on tomorrow. And I mentioned these races. I mentioned New York City. The mayoral race has gotten a lot of eyes. Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat. Andrew Cuomo, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, running as independent. Sliwa is running on the Republican ticket. And some big names have come out for these candidates. Hakeem Jeffries has come out for Mamdani. Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama was in Virginia campaigning. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani coming out to support Sliwa, who is the Republican nominee there for to be New York's mayor. So let's take a listen in. We heard from that campaign, Mr. Giuliani, yesterday during a press conference. So let's take a listen in.
Vote for Curtis. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce the last great mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Still recovering from his accident, sadly, so he's joining us via video.
Did you unmute it?
Yeah. Rudy, are you there? I don't know if you could hear us. You mute us?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, there he is, the last great mayor of the city of New York, Rudy Giuliani.
Yes, I can hear you somewhat indistinctly, but I can hear you.
Go ahead, Rudy. We're listening. Oh, it looks like we don't have great service. Why don't we just call him on the phone and put the phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
If we could improve the connection, it would be good.
Yeah. I think yeah. Let's get you on.
I know the Wi-Fi's been down.
Though I have the Wi-Fi on.
Can we just call Rudy?
Let's just call him. Let's just call him.
All right.
Is he with Angel? Yeah, I see the same on my end.
Is Angel with him?
No.
Take your time.
Thank you.
I can stretch it a little, don't worry.
Okay, well, what is...
I just have to go to Mar-a-Lago.
All right, Rudy, we hear you, so go ahead, Rudy.
We can hear you, Rudy.
He's over his legs.
Yeah. Just, all right, we're gonna call.
Okay.
Just hold it on his phone.
Okay. Rudy, we're calling you on your cell phone. Check your phone.
Well, in the meantime, I'll go on and on about how bad Zohran Mamdani is. Not only did he lead the movement to defund our police. He actually said the NYPD is the greatest threat to public safety. He wants no jails, literally supports abolishing jails in our society, says there's no purpose for them. He wants to legalize prostitution in the city of New York. Got him?
Okay, it's working. It's working, we're good. All right, Rudy, you're ready to go.
All right, we got you, Rudy.
All right. Okay, we can hear him.
He's frozen, though.
He was working just fine.
Well, why don't we just go over there, then?
Yeah, okay. That might be.
All right, Rudy, we got you, Rudy. Everyone's here, and they're...
There's Nicole Malliotakis, one of the greatest members of Congress.
Well, the greatest from New York City.
That isn't even fair if I say that. That's like when I tell my son you're my favorite son.
Well, I know.
You are remarkable.
All right.
I'm really very proud of you.
All right, Rudy, everyone's listening and they're waiting your message. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have to tell you how important this is. Every election, we all tell you, Nicole or me or whoever's running, that's the most important election. And probably it is at the time. This is more than an important, this is an emergency election. This is to save, really to save our city. It may not be recoverable after the damage done by, who could believe it, socialist, communist, Islamic extremist supporter. I don't know, that may be the worst. We've been dealing with socialists and communists. They've destroyed everything. The communists have destroyed our school systems. They've destroyed our university system. They've destroyed our justice system. If you think this is all an accident, it's not. It's all been percolating in the Democratic Party since Woodrow Wilson. But we're dealing with that, and President Trump is dealing with it. He's kicking it back pretty well. A lot of movement in that direction. But this Islamic terrorist thing, we don't deal with honestly. We make believe it doesn't exist. And you look at the number of attempts just in the last week or two. We were warned by the FBI that there are unknown numbers of Islamic terrorists in this country. Now, New York is their favorite place and their biggest target so far. It is inconceivable to me that Zohran Mamdani is a candidate. After this city was the worst affected by Islamic extremist terrorism, and he supports people who are extremist terrorists. And everyone argues, well, in that case, Curtis doesn't have as good a chance because they look at the polls and they say Cuomo has a better chance. Well, there are two problems with that. First of all, first time I ran for mayor, I did lose by 1%, but I was supposed to lose in every poll by 12. And the second time, when I won for mayor, I was losing by 6 on election day. So in an election like this, with a virtually unlimited turnout available, don't give up. Curtis is the best candidate by far. People just have to discover it. It isn't even close. When some of my friends who are Republicans came to me and wanted me to support Cuomo, they argued, well, I'm going to go and hold my nose and vote for him. I said, I don't know, it's something about that. I understand the argument. It's tough. We don't know who will get the fallout vote. But it's tough to hold your nose and vote for someone for mayor of the city. I want to go in and at least feel comfortable with the person I'm voting for, that he can be a good mayor. I can't be comfortable with that in Cuomo. I don't know, is the devil you know or the devil you don't know? But we shouldn't have to make a choice like that. And if we want to remain as a party, we got to stick with each other in good times and bad. And look, this could be an immediate victory. That'll be the biggest upset since Trump. Boy, we've seen upsets, right, that are incredible. I don't count it out at all. I also believe this is the only vote to make for the long haul, which is if the worst happens, which is either one of them being elected. We have a party we can build in the right direction, the way we built from Goldwater to Reagan, then from Reagan to Trump. So I hope you're all getting out there and getting out the vote.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
President Trump told me when I talked this over was, I'm dedicated to Curtis 100%, but I did have to consider the future of the city, so I went through all the same things that some of the Republicans who abandoned us did. And I talked to President Trump, and he told me that two things that you should know. He told me to vote my conscience. He said, long haul, that's going to help the city the most. Vote what you believe in. Don't feel pressured, one way or the other. This is what I believe in. I believe in principle. I believe in party, and I believe in the future of the Republican Party in New York. The second thing he said is, when I talked to Curtis the last time, I finally got a chance to have a really good talk with him. That guy's a really smart guy. I said, I've been telling you that, Mr. President. He's a really smart guy. He's the smartest one in the race. I said, that isn't even a question. Not only did he beat them, in debate style during those debates, he indicated he's the only person really intelligent enough, deep enough, and has studied all the issues, not just crime, better than anyone.
All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. That was a press conference from yesterday. Curtis Sliwa, Republican nominee there for the NYC mayoral race. Election is tomorrow, but we want to get to this. On the bottom of your screen, we're bringing it up full for you. That is House Speaker Mike Johnson holding his daily press conference with other GOP leaders, talking about the shutdown. Let's take a listen in.
Tweets or X's or whatever you call.
And so we thought it would be useful to just this morning, in a very brief and concise manner, separate fact from fiction. So I'm just going to go through 4 false claims that you have heard over and over and over, and just explain once more what the simple truth is. Meredith, let me see the first slide here. Here's the first one. The obviously false claim of the Democrats is that Republicans have closed the government. I've heard them say this myself. You've all seen it in interviews. They're blaming the shutdown on the Republicans, and it is patently absurd. The next slide will show you the simple fact, the obvious fact that everyone can see. It is Republicans who have voted to open the government 14 times. Now remember how this came about. Back in September 19th in the House, Republicans in the House voted to open the government, the clean continuing resolution to keep everything in operation. Every Democrat except one in the House voted to close the government. But we still passed it because we have the majority. And so we sent that bill over to the Senate. And 13 different occasions, 13 times, the Democrats have voted to close the government. Republicans voted yes every time to open it. Republicans in the Senate and the House voted to keep the lights on, to pay service members and our troops who are in harm's way, Border Patrol agents, TSA, air traffic controllers, all federal workers. They voted to ensure that women, infants, and children nutrition programs continue and that SNAP benefits continue to go to the American families who are in need. But by contrast, the Democrats have voted no every single time. And what is outrageous to us is that they have gone onto the Senate floor. Senate Democrats, they have voted no. They have voted to close the government. And then they have gone out to the hall, to the nearest camera they can find, and they have looked into the lens and said, Republicans are shutting down the government. It makes no sense. It's the most extreme example of gaslighting in the history of American politics. And many in the media have allowed them to get away with that. It's shameful. Let me show you another obviously false claim. Obviously false claim number 2 of the Democrats is that Republicans are being unreasonable. Well, here's the fact. Let me see the next one. The fact is very simple. Republicans are refusing to accept the Democrats' outrageous demands. Now, why do we say that? Now, remember, the Republicans passed a clean continuing resolution. It was nonpartisan. It was a simple bill that would open the full government, and we could do that today. If they would pass that today, with 0 strings attached, everything would be flowing again and the government would work. Importantly, remember that we offered that CR in good faith. And why do we say that? Because it was offered after a bipartisan, bicameral negotiation between both chambers. Because you see, you had the appropriators Republican and Democrat appropriators, who got together and decided they agreed on the need for a short-term CR so that they could continue their negotiations on the full-year funding bills. But this is something Democrats have spoken passionately about and acted upon many times in the past. We've recounted here every day 13 different occasions in the Biden administration they passed continuing resolutions. They did it most recently in March of this year when Chuck Schumer, 10 Senate Democrats, including the leader, Schumer, voted for the CR and told us how important that was. The CR that's on the table right now and has been sitting there for 45 days is nearly identical to the one that they voted on in March. But shockingly, this is the big thing. In addition to their refusal to support the CR and reopen the government, the Democrats have had the audacity to also demand something new. They demanded $1.5 trillion with a T in new spending obligations in exchange for the simple funding resolution. They filed on paper in the Senate record back in September, and it still sits there as their counterproposal. They would spend $1.5 trillion of your taxpayer funds. Included in that is nearly $200 billion of taxpayer funds that they want to use to restore free health benefits to illegal aliens. They want to spend billions in wasteful left-wing spending projects in foreign countries on things like LGBTQ plus awareness in the Horn of Africa, all sorts of things. I could give you a long list, and we've said it here before. They want to spend $500 million to prop up left-leaning news organizations. And shockingly, in that same proposal, as their ransom for reopening the government, they want to cut $50 billion from the Rural Hospital Fund that the Republicans just got signed into law on July 4th. That is the bill that they filed that shut down the government. And every American can see that for themselves. So their claim about Republicans being responsible is laughable. Let me go to the third one. False claim number 3, Democrats are fighting for health care. You've heard this over and over and over. Let me say something very simply about this false claim. It is the Democrats who created Obamacare. It is the Democrats who did that without any Republican votes. It's the Democrats who, by extension, have cost the American taxpayers and people who have health insurance have made their costs skyrocket. It is their policies that made that happen. And so instead of reforming it, the Democrats don't reform Obamacare. They want to subsidize it. They want to spend more taxpayer dollars. That, by the way, goes mostly to insurance companies, which makes the cost rise further. That's the Democrats' plan. When they passed Obamacare in 2010, they called it the Affordable Care Act. We know the truth is exactly the opposite. By some estimates, premiums have risen 60% in many categories since they passed that bill into law. Now, the fact is the opposite. Republicans are the ones fighting to save health care. Why? It's not just talking points to us. We do this. We have ideas, and we have already implemented ideas and measures to reduce costs, increase access and quality, and eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, why do we say it's not just a talking point? Why do we say the Republican Party is the only one advancing common sense reform solutions? Because we've proven it. We did that in the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut. We took a look at Medicaid, and we took on that challenge. We took action to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid. We got able-bodied young men without dependents off the program. We got illegal aliens off the program, and we saved $185 billion just to start. We got millions of ineligible enrollees off the program, and it preserved it. It strengthened Medicaid for the people who rely upon it, which is the elderly, disabled, and young pregnant women, as we always use as an example. No, it's not about health care. That is a false claim, and everybody knows it. Everyone in America, and certainly everybody in this room, understands that this is about something else. That what this is about fear. The Schumer shutdown was never about health care. That's a distraction. It's a red herring, as we used to say in debate club. Okay, this is about fear. And what is the fear? The resolution on the COVID-era Obamacare subsidy issue was always going to be slated for debate in October, November, and December. Everybody knows that, and every Democrat knows that. It's an issue that's too complex to be solved on a short-term funding measure like a CR. They know that very well. This is about fear. Everybody in the country is watching the elections that will happen tomorrow. You got big elections in New Jersey and Virginia, the governor's races and attorney general's races, et cetera. But all the attention is focused primarily on New York City. Why? Because the fear that Mamdani and all that he represents will be risen to power, that he'll be elected the mayor of America's largest city, the once cradle of capitalism, that we're going to have a Marxist, a communist running the largest city. Now this terrifies the establishment old guard Democrats in Washington, and the leaders of both chambers are among those most terrified. They're both from New York. Leader Hakeem Jeffries is the Democrat in the House, and Leader Schumer in the Senate. They're both from New York, and they're terrified. You've watched their actions carefully. Many of you have not reported on it enough. Poor Hakeem Jeffries had to finally, he was forced to endorse Mamdani. And he's terrified that he now owns the results of that. Chuck Schumer's been dancing around the issue, but he knows he's darned if he does, darned if he doesn't. They're both terrified, and so that is the fear. This is a fact, and you should print it this way. The Schumer and Jeffries and their colleagues fear political retribution from the far-left activists in their party more than they fear the consequences of keeping the government closed for weeks on end. They fear that personally for their own political future, and they care more about that than they care about SNAP benefits flowing to hungry families, about air traffic controllers being paid so they can keep the skies safe, Border Patrol troops, and all the rest. It pales in comparison, and this is a simple summary that is a simple fact. It is extremism on the left that is the direct cause of American suffering right now. One more fact. The obviously false claim number 4 this morning is that Republicans are responsible for all this pain. It's just a nonsensical statement. It's a nonsensical statement because the fact is very clear. This is about math. Republicans need at least 7 Democrats to join us. We only have 53 Republicans in the Senate. It takes 60 votes to reopen the government in the Senate. The House did its job September 19th. We're waiting on the Senate to get this done. Leader John Thune and the Republicans have bent over backwards. They've done everything they can. You saw his frustration and his anger boil up on the floor at the end of last week. A normally calm, pretty steady leader, very steady leader. We're all angry about this because we're sick of what they're doing. They're using the American people as pawns, as leverage, and that is the word that so many of them have used. We could name senator after senator, House member after House member, from the leadership ranks all the way down to rank and file on the Democrat side. They have admitted openly they're using the American people as leverage in this political game. They're motivated out of fear. They want to show a fight to the radical left so they don't lose their political seats, and they're willing to make the American people suffer for it. That is the fact. This is about math. Republicans have to have at least 7 Democrats. We need 5 more. 5 more moderate, centrist, common sense people who care more about the constituents they serve and the country that they supposedly serve than their own political futures and the retribution they'll receive from the Marxist, Mamdani, communist left in the party if they do the right thing here. I wish these weren't the facts. I take no pleasure in telling you this. It is disgusting to us. But there's no other way to candy coat this, to make it any prettier than it is. So we're now entering the 5th week of this Democrat shutdown, and it's for one reason. Democrats made a deliberate choice to keep the government closed. The shutdown will only end when those same Democrats make a deliberate choice to open it. The entire country is calling and waiting on just 5 more Senate Democrats to come to their senses and do the right thing. We are pleading with them to do so. This is not a game. The solution is sitting right in front of them. Pass the clean CR, end this madness, and open the government. You'll hear next from our majority leader in the House, Representative Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Democrats continue to impose suffering on the American people, and by the way, that's their term, they've continued to talk about real suffering that they know they're causing. Again, they say to get leverage over what they still can't articulate. But as Democrats continue to impose this suffering, their attempts to mislead the American people are working overtime. The Speaker laid out a number of those statements that Democrats have made over and over again to try to mislead the American people. And it doesn't just end there. Over the weekend, Chuck Schumer tweeted out, quote, "Republicans have done everything in their power to raise your health care costs and kill SNAP for millions of hungry Americans." Now, Chuck Schumer knows good and well what he said there is not only misleading, it's patently false. I tried to give it Pinocchio awards, but I don't want to associate the character Pinocchio with Chuck Schumer in that statement. Let's start with the first half of what he said there. Raising health care costs. Who is the party that's done that? The health care law of the land, and not sure if Chuck Schumer's been updated on the law, but Obamacare is the law of the land in health care. And we can all go look at the votes going back the last 10 years. It's been partisan votes all the way through for Obamacare. They called it, as the speaker said, they named it the Affordable Care Act. It's been anything but. Costs for families are up over 80% in their premiums because of Obamacare. And what have they tried to do over and over again? They've tried to mask the cost. They haven't tried to work with Republicans to fix it. They've tried to mask the cost. Hundreds of billions of dollars of bailouts to insurance companies. Not helping families get better options. Democrats have never cared about that. And in fact, when we, as we've pointed out multiple times, passed provisions in the working families tax cuts, the cost share reductions, that were scored by CBO to lower premiums by double digits for families. It passed the House, and it was Democrats who worked overtime to get that removed in the Senate. They are still bragging about it today on the Democrat Budget Committee's website, that they removed a provision that would have lowered premiums for families. So who is it that's raising costs for families? Of course it's been Democrats every step of the way, and the only thing scored by CBO to reduce premiums on families that have passed either house, the Democrats worked overtime to get that removed. The other half of that, he talks about SNAP. And of course, we know there have been votes in the House and Senate to save the SNAP program from cuts, from being zeroed out. It's called the Clean CR. Passed the House with Republican-only votes primarily, with Democrats uniting to try to kill it, but luckily we have the majority in the House, and you go over to the Senate, and we know they have a 60-vote requirement, and Democrats have over and over and over again voted in lockstep with Chuck Schumer to block SNAP benefits. There is a vote you can go look at every day that they've taken that vote that would have opened the government, fully funded SNAP, or shut it down. And it's Republicans who are voting yes, and it's Democrats who are voting no. And Chuck Schumer's been leading that charge. And then he votes no to kill the SNAP program, to create tremendous uncertainty, to create millions of hungry Americans, to use his own word. Chuck Schumer has voted to put those millions of hungry Americans in that situation, and then he walks out to the microphone, as the speaker said, and then he tries to blame it on somebody else. People are sick and tired of it. We're surely sick and tired of it, but the American people are suffering, to use the Democrats' term, while those same Democrats that impose the suffering are going out and trying to mislead and lie to the American people and blame somebody else for the very votes they cast. It is votes in Congress that have caused a government shutdown. That's why we're here. You either vote yes to open the government or you vote no to keep it shut down. And the votes are public record. And the same people that are voting to shut down the government, to deny food to families, are then walking out and trying to lie to the American people and blame somebody else for their actions. The American people won't have it. The American people will not be lied to. And it's time that Chuck Schumer and his Democrat colleagues end this madness. Let's open the government back up again and get to a negotiation on the differences we have. Our whip, Tom Emmer.
Today marks day 34 of the Democrat shutdown. Here are some headlines from over the weekend highlighting the pain the Democrats are inflicting on the American people each day that they prolong this mess. Quote, government workers, SNAP recipients feel the pain as the government shutdown drags on. Quote, staffing shortages mire air travel as shutdown stretches on. Quote, government shutdown threatens to delay home heating aid for millions of low-income families. And that's just to name a few. Democrats have now voted against opening the government 14 times. That's 14 times that they voted against our military. That's 14 times that they have voted against federal law enforcement officers, air traffic controllers, and TSA agents. 14 times they have voted against low-income Americans who rely on programs like SNAP and WIC. Why? Not because they actually care about lowering the cost of health care like they claim. Just look at the 68-page counterproposal they filed in the Senate. Only 1.5 pages reference health care. The other 66 outline their radical policy priorities like billions of dollars for foreign climate projects or $500 million to prop up leftist media outlets. The fact of the matter is that the Democratic Party is not fighting for you, the American public. They've shut the government down to pick a fight with President Trump and to score points with Kami Mandami and Omar Fada, the Omar Fada wing of their party. The Democrats have become kamikaze politicians who are so focused on winning some kind of political game that they've justified blowing up everything in their wake, including the livelihoods of their own constituents. Democrat Senator John Fetterman said it best on CNN yesterday. Quote, we are hurting the very people that we fight for, and now we're getting nothing for them if we continue to keep our government shut down. Quote, this is wrong, he went on to say, and he's exactly right. It's past time for Democrats to end the political games, pass our clean CR, and reopen the government for the people they were elected to serve. Back to the Speaker.
Questions? Manu, you get it first every time. This is not fair.
Last week, you came here to these mics, and you were very critical of Joe Biden's use of the auto pen, his pardons. You said he didn't even know who he was pardoning. But last night on 60 Minutes, President Trump admitted not knowing he pardoned a crypto billionaire who pleaded guilty to money laundering. Does that also concern you?
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I'm not sure. Yes, ma'am.
Last week on Friday, you said that if there was any way to fund SNAP, that the Trump administration would be happy to do it. Now, 2 judges have come out saying that it is likely illegal to stop SNAP payments. One is giving the Trump administration until today to make a decision on how to move forward. What have you told President Trump about how you want him to move forward?
Well, he and I talked about this quite a bit over the weekend, multiple times. The president is desperate for SNAP benefits to flow to the American citizens who desperately rely upon it. He has bent over backwards, as you know, to get the troops paid, to keep WIC funding going. He's found creative solutions. The SNAP situation, as Secretary Rollins and I explained at the press conference on Friday, has legal impediments to that. It was understood, and we got legal advice, and it made sense to me that the contingency fund and SNAP could not be used unless the underlying funds were flowing. As Secretary Rollins relayed to you, this is pretty commonsensical. The contingency fund is an extra, in layman's terms, it's an extra fund that is there, for example, if you have an unexpected natural occurrence like a hurricane or something, and SNAP benefits are flowing, but you have a subset of the population that needs additional benefits, then the contingency fund would go. The way we always understood it was the contingency fund could not be used legally if the underlying fund was suspended. And that's what's happened in the CR. The Democrats voted to stop SNAP payments. So you have 2 courts, 2 liberal courts, Obama judges, as I understand it, who said, no, that's not right, get them paid. Well, it's more complicated than that. Because as you know, it cost over $9 billion to fund SNAP for a month, and we only have, I think it's $5.2 billion in the contingency fund. So you have a big shortfall. So it's not as easy as hitting go send on a computer. You got to go through and recalculate partial payments to the 42 million recipients of the program. That puts a huge burden on states, and on the feds to try to figure that out in short order. So what the president said logically was, okay, Your Honor, if you're saying we can do it, I'll go for that, because I want SNAP to go to the people. It's the Democrats that stopped it, not us. So tell me how to do it. Because I have all my personnel here in the office, the legal minds and the number crunchers, and they're trying to figure out how this can be done. Give us some guidance. We're glad to do it. So that's where we are at this impasse right now. As you noted, the president's not appealing the decision. He wants SNAP to be done, but he doesn't see the mechanism to do it. So you have Treasury, you have USDA, you have the other agencies involved that are working overtime, literally around the clock over the weekend, trying to figure out how to do this. But everybody needs to know it's not the full amount, assuming they could get this done and processed. The court acknowledged, thanks to the president, for saying that they wanted to do it. Everybody's on the same page here. We just don't know how. It's unprecedented. This has never happened before in this way. And so we're hopeful. But I would just say this, looping us back to how we began, the easiest way to get full SNAP payments to everybody who's eligible is for the Democrats to come in here and vote to reopen the government on the clean, nonpartisan CR. It's a game that's being played and real people are being hurt, and the administration gets all sorts of accolades and appreciation from us for bending over backwards trying to make sure people are not feeling the pain and that the harm is mitigated as much as possible. Yes, sir.
Do you agree with President Trump that now is the time to get rid of the Senate filibuster? He's saying it's gone on too long. Let's use a nuclear option.
So I talked to the president multiple times over the weekend, I mentioned, and of course the filibuster came up. This is a Senate matter. It has nothing to do with the House. Everybody wants to know what my opinion is. I mean, my opinion is irrelevant. I understand desperate times call for desperate measures. I also understand that traditionally we've seen that as an important safeguard. I mean, I obviously shared my thoughts with the president on that. As much as I have wanted to blow up the filibuster sometime as a House member when we were not getting what we wanted done in our agenda, I hear my Senate Republican colleagues, some of the most conservative people in Congress, who say it's an important safeguard. It prevents us. It holds us back from the Democrats' worst impulses. What would the Democrats do if they had no filibuster impediment, no speed bump at all? They've already told us. They would pack the Supreme Court. You'd go from 9 to 13 or 15 or 17 or however many liberals they can pack on the court. You would have D.C. and Puerto Rico be made into states, which would give 4 additional Democrat senators there in the count and make us a permanent minority. I guess that would be their calculation. You would see massive restriction of the Second Amendment rights. You'd see them federalize elections so they could take over and manipulate things in the red states. I mean, there's a lot of abuses that could come. And so that's the caveat. That's what they're working through. And I speak frankly and honestly with the president, and he's very passionate about this. We're all very passionate. I think what you see in this debate we're having on our own side is a reflection of the anger that we feel, the real desperation that we feel, because we want the government to be reopened. We want to serve the American people as best we can, and any hindrance to that is something that everybody's looking at very carefully. Again, not a House issue, it's a Senate issue, and we'll see how that's resolved. Chad.
All right, so that is the GOP press conference. They've been holding daily since the government shutdown began. We are in day 34. We have that ticker and that clock right there at the bottom of your screen, so you can keep track with us in real time. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, and today is Monday, and it is also Victory Monday. That is a live shot outside of the Bank of America Stadium in Uptown, home of our 5-4 Carolina Panthers. Man, that was a great game yesterday. Here's the thing, James. I was telling you over the weekend, or yesterday rather, I went to a birthday party for a good friend. His grandmother turned 85. So I missed a lot of the game. I was watching some of the game on the phone, on a friend's phone. I was watching the game, going back and forth, you know, the birthday party and the game. So when I got home, I rewatched the game.
Well, there you go. Did you avoid spoilers?
No, I saw the game-winning field goal. I just wanted to watch it just to kind of, you know, soak up the good memories of the game and, you know,
there was lots of good sports on, right? NASCAR Championship, Charlotte FC playoffs.
College football this weekend. There's a lot happening this weekend. Usually my weekends are just wrapped in sports and what's happening.
I don't know a lot about sports, I'll admit, but NC State upset Georgia Tech.
James says he doesn't know a lot about sports, but James is kind of tapped in. James,
all right.
James, they did. That was an upset. NC State, and it was NC State's homecoming.
Ouch. No, wait. Good. Ouch for Georgia Tech.
Right. Good for NC State. They got that win. We got a couple of NC State grads here in the newsroom. So shout out to them. Panthers are 5-4. They beat Green Bay at Lambeau. James, before we get to this, I want you to Google the Packers uniform from yesterday. I want to get your thoughts because there was a lot of backlash. I wanted to see your face in real time. There was some backlash on these uniforms because they were just a lot of people calling them hideous. Calling them the reason why they lost the game.
Is it like blue and gold, like Michigan blue and gold?
It should be like the helmets are brown.
Oh yeah, it's like an old helmet, but it's like painted on, so it's like flat.
Yeah, like the leather helmets.
Texture.
Yeah, from back in the day. Yeah, they had their throwback uniforms on. They should have threw them back.
Well, do you know what always confuses me about Green Bay is I went to the University of Georgia, right? So I'm used to like, red and white G.
Yeah.
But then obviously their G, which is the same G, is different colors, and that always hurts my head.
Oh man, the uniforms were hideous. Got a lot of backlash. I didn't think they were that bad. You know. I didn't really care. I just wanted us to get a win. So we got a win. We're 5-4. We come back home this week against the Saints. And actually tonight at 9 o'clock, you can catch Danielle Stein with Panthers on the Plus. Mm-hmm. Also Thursday, Eugene and I will be breaking down the game, but also looking ahead to the Saints game. Man, that's just a beautiful shot, man. That's the Bank, man. Come on, man.
It's a beautiful shot.
Protect the Bank. All right, so let's get to Miles Harris. He spoke with Locked On's Julian Council. We do this every Sunday after the game, breaking down the game, what went right for the Panthers, and moving ahead because we have some winnable games coming up. Let's take a listen in.
Well, it was an epic win for the Panthers to come away with the win at Lambeau Field over the Green Bay Packers. But to talk more with me about that win and what it means for this team moving forward, Julian Council with Locked On for the Panthers. Julian, what's your first reaction to this win, man?
Wow. That's my reaction, Miles, because I don't know about you, man, but going into this week, I didn't have much faith in Carolina to win this game, let alone be competitive. And why would anyone feel that way coming off a 40-9 loss at home against a Bills team that is one of the best teams in the NFL? And when they played week 4 in New England against a Patriots team that we didn't know was that good at the time, they also got drubbed in that game. So there was really no evidence other than the fact that it's the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. Any given Sunday, there really hadn't been much evidence from what we had seen on the field this season that the Panthers were capable of winning a game like this. And I saw a stat from Trey Wingo that Carolina had lost 14 straight games against teams that were above 500. An insane stat that finally came to an end today. So, yeah, my reaction is, wow.
I mean, definitely a wow. And we got to talk about the details with this one as well. Rico Dowdle, he got that start, but also that banged up offensive line. So were you surprised to see that they were able to still get that run game going today?
Honestly, no. If you've looked at the offensive line this season, they have now had 7 different starting combinations in 9 games. They had Jake Kurhan have to go in there at right guard for the injured Chandler Zavala, who just came off of IR on Saturday to come and make the start in this game for all the other guys who've been injured at right guard, as Robert Hunt's on IR right now with a biceps injury, and Brady Christensen ruptured his Achilles last week, and he's done for the season. But they've played to a standard every single week, no matter who's been at left tackle, who's been at left guard, who's been at center, right guard, and right tackle, respectively. They have all gone out there and played as one and played to a standard that has been set there over the last season. And it just points out to how important it is to have depth, but also continuity, because they brought back 9 of their top guys from a year ago, and they've needed every single one of them and more so far this season. So I'm not surprised by the ability of the offensive line to be able to play to that standard again today. And I'm also not surprised that Rico Dowdle, who has run so hard every time he's had an opportunity, whether it's been in a running back rotation the last couple of weeks or the 2 weeks prior to that where he was the starter against Miami and Dallas, that guy has been on a mission here in Carolina. So no, I am not surprised by how the offensive line and Rico Dowdle in the running game performed today in Green Bay.
Yeah, we saw him talk about that after the game. He just wants to punish every defense that he faces. And we also heard Dave Canales talk about having those veterans, especially with the offensive line, be able to kind of plug and play whenever they need be. And we obviously see that need to be an impact today. But one thing when we talk about confidence, though, we have to ask about Bryce Young, because his numbers don't necessarily pop out in this game, but he got things done when it mattered most. So how much confidence are you growing with Bryce Young right now?
Well, when the game is on the line and it's late in the fourth quarter, I think there's a reasonable amount of confidence that people should have in Bryce Young, considering this was his 9th game-winning drive as a Carolina Panther in his career, since he's only been a Panther. In the 11 games that the Panthers have won with Bryce, 9 of them have come in this fashion as game-winning drives, and a number of those have been walk-off wins like they had today and like they had a couple weeks ago at home against Miami. And it's incredible to see that he goes out there, throws for 102 yards. And if you told me going into this game that's an amount of yardage Bryce is going to throw for, I would not have told you the Panthers were going to win this game. But they were able to overcome that, I suppose, and win again. And Bryce makes the throws when you need him to make them. On 2nd and 8, finding Jalen Coker for that first down, finding Tedero McMillan later on that drive as well. That then allows him to continue to have the balance and hand the ball off to Rico Dowdle, who rips it off for 19 yards to put them in field goal range. So, yeah. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, Bryce Young leaves you wanting a lot more production out of the passing game, but when it matters most, late in the game, he's able to make the throws, make the plays, and lead his team down the field. He's done it 9 times so far, and I wouldn't doubt him doing it again later on this season.
Yeah, it's definitely really impressive to see that chemistry growing with some of those young pieces, like you mentioned, like Jalen Coker, even Jimmy Horn getting some of that action, even Ted McMillan as well. You talked about it, though, earlier last week. Obviously, a different defense that we saw against the Buffalo Bills, giving up over 40 points. So what was working for them in Lambeau Field against Jordan Love?
It comes down to the red zone, Miles. Green Bay came into this week 7th in the NFL, converting 70% of their red zone trips into touchdowns. And when that is the case, you're going to have a really good team like they've been so far this season. But today, they were 1 for 5 and 0 for 4 in their first 4 trips to the red zone, settling for 6 points before then. And that is just not winning football. And also the takeaways. They had the fumble there, Christian Roseboom getting the punch on that opening drive for the Packers. Later on, there was an interception that was on kind of a non-consequential drive that did lead to, I believe, a field goal for Carolina. But just the red zone defense, that's where they won this game today. And if they weren't able to hold down the Packers, who had over 100 more yards than Carolina offensively today, then this would not have been a game that Carolina would have won on a walk-off field goal. So that's where it starts right there, stopping Green Bay in the red zone, forcing them into a turnover, forcing them into kicking field goals. That's where the Panthers defense is able to get ahead and win this game.
Yeah, a couple of takeaways as well. Those 2 picks. Probably should have had a third one with Mike Jack. We're not going to give him a hard time about that one, but definitely impressive.
And that could have been a pick 6. Because you looked at the replay, he had acres of space, and there's maybe 2 offensive linemen he was going to have to contend with. I'm guessing Mike Jack would have outrun them and been able to elude those guys. Just would have come down to, would he have had enough gas after running 103 yards to get into the end zone? So that was a close potential game changer, and that just shows you, like, the Panthers, even they made their own mistakes in this game. Like, that would be a mistake. Yes, it was still a turnover on downs. Good job by the defense to be able to get another red zone stop, but man, you have that, then you wouldn't have needed a field goal at the end of the game, I'm guessing, as well. So, yeah, unfortunate moment for him, but obviously it worked out for Carolina at the end of the day.
No, you have to go back to the offense here for a second because I do have to ask the question.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw Rico Dowdle getting over 20 carries in this game. So where can they plug, if they can? Where does Chuba really fit into this moving forward?
Well, he fits in when Rico is tired or if Rico's a little banged up, which was the case today as he was clearly battling. It looked like a groin. That's the time you got to bring in Chuba at this point in time because we have seen so far through the first 9 weeks of the season, we're more than halfway through this year, Rico is far and away the better back of the two this season. And when you look at some of the numbers across the league, he's one of the best backs in the NFL behind Jonathan Taylor and behind James Cook, who we know ran all over this Panthers defense a week ago. So unless Rico is dealing with something injury-wise or if he's just fatigued, I don't think you need to see much of Chuba Hubbard at this point in time, especially when you consider what they're getting out of the pass game or really what they're not getting out of the pass game. Rico Dowdle is their offense, that offensive line, their ability to get a push up front. That's been the best part of this Panthers offense and what's led to some of these wins over the last month and a half. So I don't think you're going to really see too much of Chuba other than what we saw today, just getting sprinkled in here and there when Rico needed a break.
One thing I heard Dave Canales talk about at halftime during this game is that when asked, basically what they thought about the game so far, that they felt like they could belong and they could really keep up with some of those top teams in the NFL. What's your take and response on that one, though?
Well, they showed it today. They hadn't shown it in the past. If you look at the season so far, I don't think much of Jacksonville. It was a poor week one performance really by Bryson defensively as well. Overall, just for the team, I guess they didn't play well. Clearly, as they lost by 3 scores, I don't think Jacksonville is a great team, but they're in the playoff hunt so far in the AFC. You look at New England, you look at Buffalo very clearly at 7-2. New England is going to be one of the top teams in the AFC this year and possibly could get that number 1 seed. And Buffalo's going to be right there with them, contending for the division and also contending for that top seed once the playoffs roll around. So at least against the top of the AFC, they've shown that they are not on that level. They've shown that they are certainly not one of the bottom teams in the NFL as they beat Miami and beat New York, even if those were 2 close games that they played. And then you beat Dallas, who's right there, I think, at your level. And Arizona has not won a game since losing or since beating Carolina in that failed comeback attempt by the Panthers. So they did show today that they absolutely belong. And it's one thing to talk about. It's a week-to-week league. You cannot lose your confidence in the league and all of that. But, man, you got to go out there on the field and prove it. They had shown through the end of last season against Kansas City, against Tampa, against Philadelphia, went on to win the Super Bowl, that, yes, they can play with these teams, but can you beat them? Can you get over the top? Can you climb the mountain and do that? And they did it today in a setting and against a team that I don't think many folks believe that they would even be within a couple of scores because the line was 2 touchdowns, Miles. In the NFL, that's a disrespectful line. You don't really see those. And Carolina went out there and they took it. They earned a respect today out on the field.
Definitely earned that one. It's kind of crazy because I remember hearing some of the players and some of the questions that we asked them about what their most favorable or recognizable moment is at Lambeau Field. I feel like this one might have to top that, at least so far this season. But I know we got the trade deadline coming up here. Could you see any moves coming from the Panthers moving forward here?
Possibly. I was reading Dan Graziano of ESPN.com earlier this morning, some of the intel that he has, and he was asking us about teams like Carolina, who's right there in the middle. They were 4-4 entering this week, and if they won or lost, do they feel like they're in a position to buy and really go for it this year, or do they think they're not right there as far as this rebuild and that they want to just kind of stand pat? I don't see them as sellers. I don't think it would make sense to move off of Chuba Hubbard. I don't know if anyone at this point in time wants to pick up that contract. He's in the first year of a $33 million deal, and it's unlikely he sees all of that money just based off what we've seen through the first 9 weeks of that deal. But still, there's value of keeping him around if anything were to happen to Rico, which obviously you don't want to see. And I think pass rush is what you'd be looking for, but everybody in the league is looking for a pass rusher heading into the deadline on Tuesday afternoon. So will Carolina be aggressive? We have not really seen them be all that aggressive in years past, so we'll see if Dan Morgan's willing to do that. But I'm guessing there probably won't be too much movement. Maybe, if anything, they get a pass rusher, but what would the price be? And with 2 young guys, and Prince Umaga-Allen, who didn't play today but should be back probably next week, and Nick Scorton, do you want to go out there and give up some assets for someone else who may be just a 1-year rental on your team? So we'll see. I think they likely stand pat, but with the 5-4 victory, especially or being 5-4 in a victory against Green Bay, that may change some things for Dan Morgan, Brant Tillis, and the rest of this front office.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens here. I know some of the asking asking prices for some of those big names. It's a little bit above my pay grade, but we'll see what happens with that one. But yeah, last question for you. 5-4. Are you surprised to see them at this point in the season?
I thought they had an opportunity, really. You looked at the first 7 games, I didn't see any of those opponents as teams that Carolina could not beat going into the season. I felt like after that, that's really when the schedule would get tough. And we saw last week against Buffalo that maybe that was going to be a harbinger for things to come. Well, week-to-week league, they turn around this week. They went on the road against Green Bay, who was the top team in the NFC coming into this game. So if you can beat the Packers, you can beat the 49ers. You can beat the Rams. You can beat Tampa. You can certainly beat Seattle. And, Lord, you would think you would be able to sweep New Orleans. And you've already shown that you are better than at least that one Sunday when you won 30-0. You can beat Atlanta. So I am not that surprised that they're in this position. I don't know if I would have thought they'd be 5-4. I would have thought maybe 4-5. I thought that certainly was possible. I felt like this was a team coming into the year when I was talking to Nick before the season about the whole buy or sell thing that we did, and I bought the idea that Carolina come December would be on the graphic there on Sunday Night Football, and it'd say in the hunt. And you look at the graphics now through 9 weeks, they're in the hunt. They're sitting there 8th in the NFC, right outside that wild card spot. So I'm not really that surprised, but I absolutely am surprised that they're 5-4 and have won this game. So Panther fans should get excited. This is the first, the biggest win since God knows, I don't know how long. Maybe Minnesota back in 2017 as far as the quality of opponent that this team beat. It's been a while, certainly since David Tepper's bought this team, that there's been days like this for Panther fans to be excited and dare to dream with New Orleans coming up and in Atlanta after that. That could put them in position, certainly, heading into the final 6 games to where they could really have something on the line. So I'm surprised by today's result, but I'm not necessarily surprised about where they're at this point in the season, 9 weeks into it.
You're excited. I know you're excited. I see that too. So, it's definitely been impressive the way that they've been able to come away with some of these wins, at least so far this season, and hopefully they can get this confidence with such a young squad moving forward and they're racking up more of those wins like you talked about. Julian, always appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, so that was Miles' 101 with Locked On's Julian Council recapping yesterday's win at Lambeau Field against the Packers and previewing the matchup against the Saints and beyond that. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. This is a live look from our WCNC Charlotte Tower camera. Beautiful day there here in Charlotte and across the area. Thank you for staying with us this morning here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are approaching the top of the hour. And before we go, Tomorrow is a big day across the country, not only just across the country, but here locally. The election is tomorrow. Several things on the ballot across the nation. And one of those big races is in New York City, race to be New York City's next mayor. And just moments ago, we actually heard from and saw former New York governor, independent mayoral candidate, Andrew Cuomo. Do you know what part of New York City this is in, James?
I've been trying to play GeoGuessr on this street. I want to say Manhattan, but
okay, you're a New Yorker, so I rely on your eye.
From the suburbs, so.
But moments ago, Andrew Cuomo out and about, speaking to folks and his supporters there. Cameras around him, reporters around him, supporters around him. And again, tomorrow, the election day, he's running against Zohran Mamdani and Curtis Sliwa.
Should we listen in?
Let's take a listen in.
Yeah, just use your iPhone, so I don't know what I'm going to get. It's not normal. Highly charged election.
All right, so this is sort of a gaggle here on the streets of New York City. Andrew Cuomo, the independent here in this race for mayor. He's running against the Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. Curtis Sliwa, who is the Republican nominee. Andrew Cuomo, losing the Democratic primary and then becoming an independent in this race, getting support from some big names. Mamdani recently getting support from some big names. Sliwa getting some support. I think we're hearing from Cuomo now. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Camera's down. Why do you I know. This is the most important election of our lifetime. I don't get the shot. I get fired. And we have to win. The way we win is we have to get every vote out. Every voter in the Bronx has to get to the polls and vote. We need to clean up the city. Thank you. We need to clean up the city. We need a better public school system. We need more police to keep us safe on the streets. And we need to be able to stand up to Donald Trump and fight for New York. We know what Donald Trump will do if Mamdani is elected. We know he'll send the National Guard here to New York. We know because Trump said last night on television he will cut funding. We cannot let that happen. A better New York City. Yes. Come on, yes.
Excuse me? Excuse me, can you grab my thing? It just fell. There's a wire in a lap. It's right near my foot. It's right next to my foot. It's a wire in a lap. It's like a small transmitter. You don't see anything? Okay.
No, ahora no griten ahora. Ahora no griten. Nosotros ahora, escuchen, hay que escuchar ahora. Nosotros estamos en una comunidad hispana, una comunidad prácticamente dominicana. Yo soy el reverendo amigo personal.
So a little bit of a chaotic scene, chaotic in a supporter type of way, if you know what I'm saying here, as the camera is trying to find the perfect location and get the shot of Andrew Cuomo. I do want to apologize for some of the language that was said during this impromptu press conference here by Andrew Cuomo. You know, a lot of times here on the stream we get these raw feeds, so and raw sound bites. That's what we aim to do here on Live Impact News. And some of that language is hard to filter out. So again, we apologize for that. But again, this is a look from moments ago. Andrew Cuomo, along with his supporters there ahead of Tuesday's election. I want to read you what NBC New York has on its website. So New York City's mayoral candidates are making a final push Monday to get voters to the polls as the race to lead America's biggest city nears its finale, following a massive turnout for the last of early voting. So ahead of Election Day on Tuesday, Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, former governor of New York Andrew Cuomo, and Republican Curtis Sliwa have spent the race's final stretch campaigning at a frantic pace across the city's 5 boroughs as they make their case to succeed outgoing Mayor Eric Adams, who dropped out of the race recently. So in recent days, we've had folks come out to support each of these candidates, and here, I should point here is where some of that information about specifically Andrew Cuomo, because that's that press conference that we took just now, who he's up against, what he's running as. He's running as an independent. He's running against the Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. Also, the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa, is in the race. So a lot of eyes on this race, not only for this race, but in California. There's Prop 50 on the ballot. Virginia, there's a big race. Here in Charlotte, we have big races: mayoral race, city council race, also the transit referendum on the ballot. So a lot at stake come Tuesday, and we will have you covered here on Live Impact News with live interviews, tracking the polls in real time. So a lot to sort out, and we will be here to help you navigate it through it all. But